I need to open today's show with an excerpt from a 1943 novel, just so we are on the same page.
Thousands of years ago, the first man discovered how to make fire. He was probably burned at the stake he had taught his brothers to light. But he left them a gift they had not conceived, and he lifted darkness off the earth. Throughout the centuries, there were men who took first steps down new roads, armed with nothing but their own vision. The great creators, the thinkers, the artists, the scientists, the inventors, stood alone against the men of their time. Every new thought was opposed. Every new invention was denounced. The first motor was considered foolish. The airplane was considered impossible. Anesthesia was considered sinful. But the men of unborrowed vision went ahead. They fought, they suffered, and they paid. But they won. No creator was prompted by a desire to serve his brothers, for his brothers rejected the gift he offered. His truth was his only motive. His own work in his own way, that was his goal. The creation, not its users. The creation, not the benefits others derived from it. His vision, his strength, his courage came from his own spirit. A man's spirit, however, is his self, that entity which is his consciousness. To think, to feel, to judge, to act are functions of the ego. The creators are not selfless. The creator served nothing and no one. He lived for himself. And only by living for himself was he able to achieve the things which are the glory of mankind. Such is the nature of achievement. Man cannot survive except through his mind. But the mind is an attribute of the individual. There's no such thing as a collective brain, a collective thought. The primary act, the process of reason, must be performed by each man alone. The creative faculty belongs to single, individual men. That which it creates is the property of the Creator. Nothing is given to man on earth. Everything he needs has to be produced. Man can survive in only one of two ways, by the independent work of his own mind, or as a parasite fed by the minds of others. The Creator originates, the parasite borrows. The Creator's concern is the conquest of nature. The parasite's concern is the conquest of men. The Creator lives for his work. His primary goal is within himself. The parasite lives second-hand. Others become his prime motive. The basic need of the Creator is independence. To a Creator, all relations with men are secondary. The second-hander places relations first. He preaches altruism, the doctrine which demands that man live for others and place others above self. Men have been taught that the highest virtue is not to achieve, but to give. Yet one cannot give that which has not been created. Creation comes before distribution. Yet we are taught to admire the second-hander who dispenses gifts he had not produced above the man who made the gifts possible. We praise an act of charity. We shrug at an act of achievement. Men have been taught that their first concern is to relieve the suffering of others, but suffering is a disease. Should one come upon it, one tries to give relief and assistance. To make that the highest test of virtue is to make suffering the most important part of life. Then man must wish to see others suffer in order that he may be virtuous. Men have been taught that the ego is the synonym of evil, and selflessness the ideal of virtue. But the Creator is the egotist in the absolute sense, and the selfless man is the one who does not think, feel, judge, or act. These are functions of the self. Egotism was held to mean the sacrifice of others to self. Altruism, the sacrifice of self to others. This tied man irrevocably to other men, and left him nothing but a choice of pain. His own pain borne for the sake of others, or pain inflicted upon others for the sake of self. This was the greatest fraud ever perpetrated on mankind. The choice is not self-sacrifice or domination. The choice is independence or dependence. The egotist, in the absolute sense, is not the man who sacrifices others. He is the man who stands above the need of using others in any manner. He does not exist for any other man, and he asks no other man to exist for him. This is the only form of brotherhood and mutual respect possible between men. This is the only possible form of relationship between equals. Anything else is a relation of slave to master or victim to executioner. From the beginning of history, the two antagonists have stood face to face, the creator and the second-hander. When the first creator invented the wheel, the first second-hander responded. He invented altruism. The contest has another name, the individual against the collective. The common good of a collective, a race, a class, a state, was the justification of every tyranny ever established over men. Now observe the results of a society built on the principle of individualism. This, our country, the noblest country in the history of men, the country of greatest achievement, greatest prosperity, greatest freedom. This country was based on a man's right to the pursuit of happiness, his own happiness, not anyone else's. The savage's whole existence is public, ruled by the laws of its tribe. Civilization is the process of setting man free from men. It is an ancient conflict. Now, in our age, collectivism has broken loose and is running amok. It has swallowed most of Europe. It is engulfing our country. I came here to say that I do not recognize anyone's right to any achievement of mine, no matter who makes the claim, how large their number, or how great their need. I wish to come here and say that I am a man who does not exist for others. It had to be said. The world is perishing from an orgy of self-sacrificing. I wish to come here and say that the integrity of a man's creative work is of greater importance than any charitable endeavor. Those of you who do not understand this are destroying the world. I wish to come here and state my terms. I do not care to exist on any others. I recognize no obligations toward men except one, to respect their freedom, and to take no part in a slave society. To my country, I wish to give the 10 years which I will spend in jail if my country exists no longer. I will spend them in memory and in gratitude for what my country has been. It will be my act of loyalty, my refusal to live or work in what has taken its place.
That would be an excerpt from The Fountainhead by Ayn Rand, one of my favorite novels. In fact, I would argue that for me personally, the character of Howard Rourke, I look to and I say, wow, in a perfect world, that's the guy I want to be. I want to be that guy. I want to stand for something. I want to know the difference between right and wrong. Plenty of people, however, do not want to know the difference between right and wrong. Secondarily, they don't want to use their reason. They don't want to think. They have a built-in bias. And that blurs all reason. It blurs all fact. If something comes into their lens, if something comes into their field of vision that they don't like, they push it away. I want nothing to do with that. Get it away from me. If you've not yet read The Fountainhead, read it. And if you hate it after you read it, if you hate my recommendation, at least send me an email with a coherent, cogent response as to why you didn't like it. Don't give me some namby-pamby bullshit. Give me a real reason why you didn't like it. And for those of you that know, for those of you that already understand, you'll appreciate the reminder. I would like to present an example that I think reaches back and dives right into that presentation from Howard Roark. Recently, I tweeted, quote, "If you think education is expensive, try ignorance," end quote, from Derek Bach. I believe he was a university president, might have even been a Harvard president. I can't recall off the top of my head. If you think education is expensive, try ignorance. The point being is no matter what you pay for your education, how you pay for it, it's worth it. How much is it going to cost you if you don't know? If you don't know, you never will know. You'll never get there. Ignorance is the priciest debt you can have. Ignorance is the worst. So I tweet that. Quite simply, I think I originally put that in my first edition of Trend Following. I quickly got a response on Twitter. Is it me, or are you slanting just slightly bearish stock market on your recent podcast? Question mark. Skeptical of the breakout? Question mark. Well, let's break this apart. It's not really a question. It's some type of an odd accusation. Am I bearish? No, I'm not bearish. I don't know what the stock market will do next. I have no clue. I can't predict a damn thing, nor can you. Now, if your idea of bearish is, do I like the current Federal Reserve System and worldwide central bankers rigging things? Of course not. If there's too much rigging, do we eventually know what happens? Of course we do. We know how it ends. But you sure as hell can't predict the timing of the ending. As he says in the second part of that tweet, skeptical of the breakout. As a trend following trader, how can you be skeptical of the breakout? You take the breakout. You take the moving average crossover. You can't be skeptical of it, or you're not a trend following trader. You're just a guy sitting there guessing. So you see, one simple response to my tweet opens up a Pandora's box of thinking or not thinking, reason or not reason, feedback in. I responded quite simply. Our economic Ponzi scheme is one thing. The price trend is another. Damn straight I've got my views about worldwide governmental Ponzi scheme finance, as I should, as you should. But I don't trade off that. Do you trade off that? Do you really trade off the news and information that is nonstop, 24/7, that never ends? Do you really trade off what Janet Yellen may have said or may not have said? Are you basing your investment decisions off of that? I sure hope not. The interchange continued, with my questioner saying, discussing the economy and Fed manipulation is pointless, in my opinion. I was only asking you about the stock market price. He has a point. From a pure trading perspective, the price is all you follow. You don't need anything else. But that doesn't take away my ability to speak the truth. And Ponzi finance, engineered by central bankers and governments around the world, is a bad thing. It might look good in the current, but it never ends up good. It's two different issues. We could say this about politics. Somebody could have a liberal perspective, they could have a conservative perspective. I know trend following traders, one a liberal, one a conservative. They're both trend following traders. Guess what? Their politics does not drive their trading decisions. Their trading decisions are based on price. I responded to this individual in my tweet back. What do you want to know about it? He was asking about the price. I said, what do you want to know about it? It's there for all to see. Remember, his first tweet was I skeptical of the breakout. How can you be skeptical of the breakout if you're a trend following trader? If you're skeptical of the breakout and you're a trend following trader, you're not a trend following trader. You take the price action whichever way it leads you. You don't question it. If you are questioning it, you're not there yet, meaning you're not yet a trend following trader. You're just a guy that's still guessing. I'm not trying to pick on this guy that was tweeting with me. I appreciate the dialogue. But I could immediately see it was going to be a good interchange for a podcast. Instructional, useful, educational. Now, of course, I expected that he would not like my response when I asked him, what do you want to know about the price action? Because he can see the same price that I can see. So what did he want to know that I was going to know special about the price? How could I have some secret sauce about it? There's a set of rules you follow as a trend following trader, and that's it. I am not divining something through some particular look at the price at that point in time. No, I'm following my rules. If I'm long, I'm long. If I've got to stop, I'm out. That's it. Now, of course, you can think about that going the other direction. You can be short as well and have a stop. You get out too. Same thing. But I knew my response of what do you want to know about it? It's there for all to see. I knew that kind of response was probably going to bring back a little bit of venom towards me. My questioner said, "You misunderstood my original question. Forget it." No, I didn't misunderstand his original question. And I wrote back and I said, no, I got it. Now, at this point in time, I kind of know I shouldn't be doing this. I guess it's going to be a little tit for tat, but I see it as instructive. And he responded back, my bad. I just wasn't expecting such a cynical view from a trend follower. How the hell am I being cynical? I have my strong belief that Ponzi finance, engineered by central bankers and government officials, is terrible for the economy. But I also look at the world from a trend following perspective, and I'm going to follow the price action regardless of any of my political or economic beliefs. How the hell am I being cynical? I'm not being cynical. What he doesn't like is he wants me to say that I love government. He wants me to say that I love the system. He wants me to say that I love the collective. The very thing that Howard Roark was saying in the beginning of this episode, that he's against. This guy wants me to embrace the group. I don't want to embrace the group. I don't care about the group. I don't want to be part of it. I responded back to him, if I'm cynical for not liking Ponzi finance and government rigging, okay, but that view doesn't affect trading the price. Quite clear, right? Real simple. Straightforward. For those of you that have listened to this show for years, you know where I'm coming from. He came back and he said, fair enough, but I'm tired of hearing people complain about it year after year. It's exhausting. Just my 2 cents. I will grant you, if somebody says the same thing every damn day, and they don't have a broad horizon, if they don't have a wide perspective to connect all the dots, and I try to do that on this show, whether it's the psychological perspective, the self-help perspective, the trading perspective, the investment perspective, the decision-making perspective, the outside-the-box Jack Horner paleontologist perspective. I've tried to lay a very diverse footprint down that's all connected. It's all secretly connected in my mind, at least. To his complaint response, I came back. Nassim Taleb has the great line, and I paraphrase, if you see fraud and you don't call it out, you are a fraud. It drives me. Now, he came back and he said, it's impossible to know all the facts. Fraud is hard to prove, but if that's your thing, more power to you. Government needs to be kept honest. Okay, my head just explodes now. I have to read that again, actually. Impossible to know all the facts. Fraud hard to prove, but if that's your thing, more power to you. Government needs to be kept honest. Look, when you have politicians being paid off $150 million, when you have central banks rigging interest rates to now negative, something's wrong. Now, of course, if I said this every day, I would bore myself to tears. But damn it, somebody has to stand up every day and point out pig behavior. If you don't point out the pig behavior, you're ultimately a pig at the trough too. So damn straight, I'm very consistent. Trend following is trend following. That's never going to change. Follow the price action that is made up of the crowd. Individual buyers and sellers, they make that price every day. I will never put my economics and my politics upon the price. The price is true. It's true religion, so to speak. You can believe in the price. You can't fuck the price over. The price is still the price. You can't rig it. You see it every day. You know what it is. You can bet off that. The economics, the politics, it's off to the side. It's something else. They're not connected. I can walk and chew gum at the same time. So can you. We all need to do a better job of calling out the pig behavior. I don't necessarily always agree with every political belief that Roger Waters of Pink Floyd fame has, but he does bring a sharp knife to the idea of controlling systems that don't benefit the masses. And he's also damn good at nailing pig behavior. I see a time when those awake will understand how to make money in up, down, and surprise markets. Whether new trader or experienced, college student or financial advisor, protecting against a crash or just trying to make a lot of money, trend following offers everyone an answer in uncertain times. To get started immediately, send me an email, michael@covel.com. I will send you the right trend following steps to take along with my free video. But if you want to buy and hold, trust the government and trust Wall Street, this is absolutely not for you.